right, let's try this again. It is now 10:07, and good morning, everyone. For the record, I am Chairman Barnes, and I will call the July 17th, 2025 Planning Board meeting to order. We have the following commissioners here today. Vice Chair Bailey, Commissioner Washington.
Good morning.
And Commissioner Giraldo.
Good morning.
Now we will move forward with the business at hand. Please note that the deadline for participation, pre-registration, and all submission of materials and exhibits was noon on Tuesday before the planning board meeting. Staff is available today for on-site registration or required. Now we will move on to today's agenda. The order of cases for today's meeting is as follows. Item 2, 3A, 3B, 3C, 4A, 4B, 4D, and 4E, along with 5 and 6. The first item on the agenda is item 2, draft minutes of July 10th. We look for a motion of approval of July 10th meeting.
Of approval motion.
Second.
We have a motion by Commissioner Bailey, a second by Commissioner Washington. I will now call the roll. Vice Chair Bailey.
Aye.
Commissioner Washington.
I vote aye.
Commissioner Giraldo.
I vote aye.
And I vote aye as well. The ayes have it. The next item on the agenda is item 3A, legislative updates and approval, CB 27-2025. We have the following. We have staff members Natalia Gomez, who will present the item.
Good morning.
Good morning. Good morning.
Good morning, Mr. Chair and members of the Planning Board. I am Natalia Gomez with the Planning Director's Office. Item 3A is a legislative update regarding Bill CB 27, which is called Modernizing Access to Treatment Services, which was presented to the board as LDR 53-2025 early this year. The reason why we're here presenting this bill is because the Planning, Housing, and Economic Development Committee at the County Council voted to send the bill back to the Planning Board for reconsideration of draft 2. Can we move to the next slide, please? So the purpose of the bill is to define a state licensed medical clinic as a new principal use type, which establishes zones in which this new type use is permitted, setting conditions under the principal use, and establishing off-street parking requirements. Can we move to the next slide, please? I'm going to provide a little background for the chair and for the other members of the planning board. So methadone treatment centers was a use that was introduced in CB 109 in 1993. This was initially permitted by a special exception in the commercial and industrial zones, subject to certain criteria. Later this year, LDR 53-2025 was presented here to the planning board, and it proposed a new use, which was opioid treatment center. This use is a type similar to methadone-centered use. Later on a public hearing on March 27, 2025, the planning board took no position on LDR 53-2025. LDR 53-2025 became CB 27-2025 in County Council in session on April 8, 2025, and was referred to the Planning, Housing, Economic Development Committee. On June 3, 2025, the Fed Committee hosted the session where they reviewed draft 2 of this bill. And it was favorably recommended with amendments. Next slide, please. So I'm going to briefly explain what draft 2 contains compared to what it was presented to you before. Draft 2 combines the existing methadone treatment center and the proposed opioid treatment center into a state licensed medical clinic, and establish the zones in which this use is permitted by right, and also some parking standards as well. Can we move to the next slide, please? Here we can see that this slide shows that the proposed use is not permitted in the residential zones, as it was the methadone treatment center and initially was proposed the opioid treatment center. None of them are permitted in the residential zones in agricultural. Can we move to the next slide, please? Thank you. The previous one. Yes, thank you. So in this slide, we can see that the bill is proposing state licensed medical clinics as under the health use category. And the difference with the methadone treatment center is that the use will be permitted by right in some commercial zones and in transit-oriented zones. Can we skip to slide 9, please? One more. Yes. Other changes proposed by this bill included that the state licensed medical clinics will require a detailed site plan. The detailed site plan should include information regarding of number of patients, hours of operation, and mainly goals of the center. And it also includes a 500 feet buffer from any rural and agricultural residential based zones and or property associated with school, library, parks, playground, or recreational facilities. Next slide, please. When draft 2 was proposed, the planning department presented some amendments to the Fed committee on June 3, and we are presenting them today for the board for consideration. So the first one is an expansion on the zoning. If we can move back to slide 5. Yes. So, no, the next. Yeah. So if we see here, the state licensed medical clinic is proposed in some commercial zones, in some transit-oriented center zones. What we are proposing to the bill sponsor is to permit by right this use in all transit-oriented activity center zones, not only on the core, on the H zones. So it will be NAC, TAC core, LTO core, RTOL core, RTOH core. And we are also including the CN and NAC, which are. The reason for this suggestion is because we received the comment on the need of placing these facilities near to near to public transportation. And the health department actually presented the same comments to the bill sponsor. Can we go back to slide 11, please? Yeah. Okay. The next amendment we suggested was the separation distance measurement, and this is to clarify that measurements must begin at the property boundary rather than at points such as the property's front doors or main entrance. The third amendment is by right versus discretionary process. And here we basically we are basically deferring to the county council to decide if this use will be by right or it will go straight to permitting. And we are also suggesting letting the county council know that the planning department is working on a health atlas that will allow us to evaluate the process and have a deeper analysis of this by right process for this type of facilities and will let us have a better performance and standards for the proposed use. And the last one is more than amendment, is a comment, and the department is requesting more clarification on the methodology for adding parking standards for single family dwelling. So the bill is proposing standards for single family dwelling, which it really is not consistent with the commercial zones or transit oriented zones. It's more a little observation that we do to the bill sponsor. And that concludes my presentation. I'm happy to answer any question that the board has.
Commissioners, are there any questions for Natalia?
I have none.
You have one?
Do we have a motion by the commissioners?
Mr. Chairman, I move that we adopt the comments of staff and approve said comments for CB 27-2025 DR 2A to the Prince George's County Planning, Housing, and Economic Development Committee.
Second.
It's been properly moved in by Commissioner Washington and seconded by Commissioner Geraldo. I will now call the roll. Chair Bailey,
Aye.
Commissioner
I
Washington,
vote aye.
Commissioner Geraldo,
Vote aye, Mr. Chair.
and I vote aye as well. The ayes have it. This motion has been supported. Thank you. The next item on the agenda is item 3B, an executive session. The following is my closing statement. Pursuant to general provision articles of the Annotated Code of Maryland, 3-305, subsection B, B1, 2, and 3, a closed door session is proposed to discuss personnel matters concerning appointments, position in the planning department and Department of Parks and Rec. Fiscal year 2026 historical agricultural resource preservation program priority rankings and the acquisition of real estate property for a public purpose and matters related thereof, and for the purpose of protecting the commission's negotiation position. Commissioners, we need a motion to convene into an executive session.
So move.
Second.
Been properly moved and second by Commissioner Geraldo and second by Commissioner Bailey. I will now call the roll. Vice Chair Bailey,
Vote aye.
Commissioner Washington,
I vote aye.
Commissioner Geraldo,
I vote aye.
and I vote aye as well. The ayes have it. We will now go into a executive session. On July 10th.
So move.
Second.
Thank you. We have a motion by Commissioner Geraldo and second by Vice Chair Bailey. I will now call the roll. Vice Chair Bailey,
Vote aye.
Commissioner Washington,
I vote aye.
Commissioner Geraldo,
I vote aye, Mr. Chair.
and I vote aye as well. The ayes have it. There's a briefing on the fiscal year 26 historical agricultural.
See?
Right before the consent.
No, let me see.
I'm sorry.
Appointment. Yeah.
All right. So, next on the agenda, is item 3C. The Office of the Chairman, Prince George's County Planning Board, appointment of Darrell Barnes as the Prince George's County Commissioner to the ERS Board of Trustees for the term of June 30th, 2025 through June 30th, 2028. Is there a motion for approval?
Second.
We have the motion by Commissioner Geraldo and second by Commissioner Washington. I will now call the roll. Vice Chair Bailey,
Vote aye.
Commissioner Washington,
vote aye.
Commissioner Geraldo,
Vote aye, Mr. Chair.
and of course, I vote aye as well. The ayes have it.
Vote for yourself.
That's right. Thank you so much. We We will now move forward to the consent agenda with items 4A, 4B, 4D, and 4E. Is there anyone who wishes to oppose the staff's recommendation on these items of 4A, 4B, 4D, and 4E? Seeing none, is there any board members who wish to discuss any of these items?
Mr. Chair, after consideration of the records for items 4A, 4B, 4D, and 4E, I move adoption of staff findings and approval of these items on the consent agenda in accordance with the recommendation of staff.
Second.
Been properly moved and second by Commissioner Bailey and second by Commissioner Washington. And I will now call the roll. Vice Chair Bailey.
But I,
Vice Chair, I'm sorry, Commissioner
I
Washington.
vote aye.
Commissioner Geraldo.
I vote aye.
And I vote aye as well. The ayes have it. We will now move into the regular agenda items. We will now move into the regular agenda items. The first item on the agenda is item 5, extension request for preliminary plans 4-21025, Broad Creek Townhouses in Henson Creek Transit Village.
Good morning, Mr. Chair. For the record, Sherry Connor with the Development Review Division. Before we get started, I just wanted to introduce Ms. Salmeen Monar. This is the first time before the board, so if you don't recognize her, that's why. We're very excited to have her. She joins us as a Planner 3 in the subdivision section, and you'll be seeing more of her.
Outstanding.
you.
Welcome.
Congratulations.
The floor is yours.
Good morning, Mr. Chair, members of the board. For the record, I am Salamine Monamar with the subdivision section. Item 5 on the agenda is the extension request for preliminary plan of subdivision 4-21025, titled Broad Creek Townhouses at Henson Creek Transit Village. This preliminary plan of subdivision was approved by Planning Board on May 19, 2022, and it is valid through June 9, 2025. The preliminary plan of subdivision approved 80 lots and 8 parcels for the development of 80 single-family attached dwelling units. By letter dated June 2, 2025, the applicant requested a final 2-year extension of the plan's approval. This is the applicant's second and final request. If this request is approved, the preliminary plan of subdivision will be valid through June 9, 2027. Section 24-119D of the prior subdivision regulation authorizes the Planning Board to grant an extension to the normal expiration of a preliminary plan of subdivision when certain criteria are met. These criteria and their findings are listed in the staff memorandum. Staff finds that the criteria have been met and recommend that Planning Board grant a 2-year extension for a preliminary plan of subdivision 4-21025 pursuant to section 24-119D5A Romanate 7 of the prior subdivision regulations. This concludes staff presentation.
Thank you. Are there any questions from the board or the commission? Seeing none, we will now hear from Mr. Tedesco.
Good morning, Mr. Chairman and members of the board. For the record, Matthew Tedesco on behalf of the owner and applicants. With the law offices of McNamee Hosey here representing this request. Just want to thank staff and Ms. Menoir for her presentation this morning and welcome. I look forward to working together. And I will say for her first recommendation, I couldn't agree with her more. This project, I won't belabor the point too much, but just a couple of things I'd like to mention. This preliminary plan was originally handled by my late partner, Dan Lynch, who passed away, unfortunately, in November of 2023. I stepped in to help get it hopefully across the finish line. We successfully got the detailed site plan approved by you all just a few months ago in March of this year. And we've been working very, very extensively and tirelessly to get this project vested through the platting process. There was a condition of approval, and you all granted the 1-year extension last year in 2024, extending it out to June of 2025. But there was the condition of approval dealt with frontage improvements along Oxon Hill Road. Those had to be designed and engineered with a lot of effort from our civil engineers who's with us this morning, Mr. Mark Ferguson and his team, but also with DPI. And what happened is that because of those pedestrian improvements along Oxon Hill Road, it impacted the floodplain and wetlands along the frontage of the property. That then triggered us to have to go get an MDE wetlands permit. So in addition to the delay with the detailed site plan, and now having to go get an MDE wetlands permit and also adjust the floodplain associated with those frontage improvements, we have just simply run out of time to get all that done, and all of those things have an impact on the plat. That is all articulated in our June 2nd letter, which we would submit on. It's in your backup at pages 1 through 6. And pursuant to the code, we did provide you all with MDE's letter, which is required, as well as a letter from DPI that memorializes it. So don't take my word for it, take theirs. They need more time to process those permits, and as a result, we are requesting this 2-year extension. For the chair's benefit, because I know he wasn't here back in March, this project has had an extensive amount of outreach, community outreach, both with Fort Washington Forward. We have kept them engaged, but also with the Conservancy of Broad Creek and the Historic District Local Advisory Committee, all of whom are supportive of this project. But it's an ongoing effort, as you can imagine, but I just want to articulate that for the board's edification, and we would respectfully request, as staff has recommended, your approval of a 2-year extension, which would be the last extension we would be entitled to. So thank you so much. Happy to answer any questions.
Are there any questions for Mr. Tedesco? Seeing none, I believe that there are several that have signed up to speak.
Yeah, Mr. Chairman, thank you for that. We do have members of the team signed up on behalf of the applicant, none of whom need to speak, but they are here should there be had any questions. But I think all your signees are on behalf of the applicant, so they're good.
Good.
Thank you.
So there's none in opposition. Seeing none, the hearing is now closed on this. Members, are there any deliberations? And if not, what's your pleasure?
Mr. Chairman, I move that we adopt the recommendation of staff and approve, approve the 2-year extension for preliminary plan 4-21025.
Second.
Been properly moved and second. I will now call the roll. Vice Chair Bailey,
But aye.
Commissioner Washington,
I vote aye.
Commissioner Giraldo,
I vote aye.
and I vote aye as well. It has now been approved. We will now move into the next agenda item, item 6, preliminary plan of subdivision 4-25007, St. Jerome Academy. We will now hear from Benjamin Sullivan.
Mr. Chair, and members of the board, Sherry Connor again with Development Review Division. We have with us today Mr. Benjamin Sullivan. He is also presenting before the board for his first time. He also joins us as a planner 3, working with the subdivision section. Thank you.
Welcome.
Welcome. Is this inauguration day?
Go. All right. Good morning, Mr. Chair and members of the board. For the record, I am Benjamin Sullivan with the subdivision section. Item number 6 on the agenda is the preliminary plan of subdivision for St. Jerome Academy, case number 4-25007, which proposes one parcel of 81,380 square feet of institutional development, of which 69,700 square feet is existing. This applicant is further subject to an approved certificate of adequacy under case number ADQ-2025-013. As a matter of housekeeping, 2 additional items were submitted prior to the noon deadline on July 15th, 2025, which is entered in the record as applicant's Exhibit 1 and 2. Exhibit 1 includes the applicant's requested changes to conditions 2 and 3 in the technical staff report. The staff has reviewed the proposed revisions and recommend approval of the revised condition 2. Regarding condition 3, staff recommended approval of the proposed addition, but also recommended that additional language be added to ensure that any modifications are made pursuant to the applicable code. Staff recommend the modified language as following for condition 3A. Continual style sidewalks and Americans with Disabilities Act ADA compliant curb ramps crossing all vehicular access points unless modified by the operating agency with written correspondence in accordance with the applicable code section provided authorizing during permitting. The second exhibit is a letter mailed out by the applicant providing the time and location of a community meeting scheduled by the applicant on July 2nd, 2025. Staff note that this case was reviewed under the prior subdivisions regulations pursuant to which a community or neighborhood meeting is not a requirement for approval of a preliminary plan of subdivision. In conclusion, subdivision staff recommend that the planning board adopt the findings and approve a preliminary plan of subdivision 4-25007 St. Jerome Academy. Tree type 1 conservation plan, TCP 1-009-2025, and variance section 25-121C3, subject to the conditions contained in the technical staff report as further modified by applicant's exhibit 1 as read and recorded or read into the record by staff. This concludes staff presentation.
Thank you so much. Are there any questions for Benjamin? Seeing none, Mr. Tedesco.
Good morning again, Mr. Chairman and members of the.
Yes, I apologize.
Yes, of course.
To swear in everybody for this evidentiary hearing that wishes to provide testimony. There's no one online, I don't believe.
We have a few folks online, but I don't expect that they'll talk, but just in abundance of caution, I'd ask that they raise their right hand.
Okay, those present in the room here and those online wishing to give testimony, please raise your right hand. Please repeat after me. I swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but.
I swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, nothing but the truth.
Thank you.
It didn't sound like it.
First time I've actually had to repeat that. You state your name, right? Thank you, Mr. Warner. We'll grow to get used to that over time, I'm sure. Again, for the record, Matthew Tedesco with the law firm McNamee-Hosey here on behalf of the applicant, St. Jerome Academy. With me this morning, Mr. Chairman, online, we have the principal of the school, Kevin Somak. We also have Chris Curry, who's here in the audience. From Site Design, Inc., we have Mark Ferguson. And online, we have Mr. Mike Lenhart from Lenhart Traffic Consulting. We also have Dominic Lockhart from my office. Want to thank Mr. Sullivan. Again, I believe this was his first presentation and another excellent job, and look forward to working with you in the future as well. And it does feel like initiation day. I'll gratuitously take it as a compliment that my cases were the ones chosen for all these new great hires to be presenting today. So hopefully we made it easier for you, and it was a good experience working with Mr. Sullivan on this application. We did provide 2 exhibits into the record. Mr. Sullivan referenced one. I will start out by saying that we are in agreement with staff's suggested edits to applicant's exhibit 1 as read into the record, in addition to the edits that staff agreed to in revised condition 2. The applicant is also in agreement with all other recommended conditions of this preliminary plan. Applicant's exhibit 2 was also a copy of a letter that was mailed out to all the adjoining property owners, municipalities. We basically use the same mailing addresses that we use and we get from your staff with respect to the informational mailings and the acceptance mailings that went out. And that was to advertise a meeting at the school for the local community. We had a number of residents show up to that meeting, as well as some representatives of the city of Hyattsville, some elected officials. And so for those that may be watching online, we want to thank them for attending. It was a wonderful meeting, and all in all, a very supportive meeting. I think everyone understands the importance of St. Jerome's into the community, not only Prince George's County, but Hyattsville specifically. And gratuitously, I will say it's special to me in the sense that I think, as I mentioned last week, my mother grew up in Hyattsville, grew up in Prince George's County, raised 2 identical twin sons in Prince George's County. Sent them, again, forgive me, Mr. Chairman, to DeMatha. But my mother was also a graduate of St. Jerome's Academy in the early 60s and went on to Elizabeth Seton High School. So having the opportunity to represent St. Jerome's has been very special to me in the sense that it's still serving the community as it has since the 50s. And we stand before you for this preliminary plan, given the addition that's proposed. We want to be clear, and we made this clear to the citizens, the addition is really needed to better serve the existing school body, as well as not only the administration, but the children themselves. The school has experienced fluctuations in enrollment throughout the many years, I think hitting its high point in the 60s. But we are at a good number now, notwithstanding. We have, the school has specialty needs with respect to ESOL students, art, science. And right now, all those specialty type curriculums, those teachers actually have to come into the homerooms and classrooms and kind of set up. And as a husband to a teacher, I can tell you that that's a strain on our teachers to have to pack up and bring their art supplies into a classroom or bring their science supplies into a classroom and then pack up and leave because there's just not enough classrooms to serve the students. And so what this addition seeks to do is provide additional classrooms, not necessarily for greater enrollment, but just so that those teachers, the art teachers, the science teachers, the math teachers, the ESOL teachers have their own spaces. That will certainly help the student population and our youth that go to this school. Notwithstanding the fact that we had to do a preliminary plan, we still will be required to do a detailed site plan. So we will be back before you sometime in the future with the detailed site plan of what this addition will look like. There will be elements that will take cues from the existing school. There will be elements that will take cues from the historic setting and nature of Hyattsville. And all those things are going to come into focus when we get to the detailed site plan. Uniquely, because this property is a permitted use, there will be limited findings at the time of detailed site plan regarding compatibility of the surrounding area and goals of and meeting the goals of the sector plan. And we look forward to the opportunity to bring that back before you. I could go on longer with respect to the specific findings. We generally agree with all the recommended findings of the staff report we would submit on the record, which is inclusive of substantial evidence in support of those findings. And I would just note that the proposed building addition, as I mentioned, is not for necessarily the enrollment growth, but to enhance the educational experience through provisions of purpose-built spaces. Without this expansion, the school's ability to maintain, fulfill its institutional model and evolve modernization of classroom experiences, both for the students and the teachers, will be severely constrained. And so for all those reasons and the reasons articulated by staff, we would certainly hope and welcome your support of this application and your continued and hopeful future support of the detailed site plan. And with that, Mr. Chairman, we would submit on the record, I respectfully requesting your approval with conditions as modified by applicant's Exhibit 2, as further modified by staff, read into the record this morning, and happy to answer any questions.
Are there any questions for Mr. Tedesco?
I'm from here.
I only have one statement.
Oh. Stop talking about the math.
All right. I wish you bring more clients like this. Simply because I think it's important that we understand the magnitude of this assignment. To your point, it's not about enrollment, but it is for the betterment of our students and their education. This is the kind of stuff that moves me where I just wish, we had the opportunity to dive into more projects and expansion and growth like this throughout the county. Where we hear that so much that our education system is not where it should be. Out of 24 districts, our education system has been not at the top. So when you start talking about opportunities like this and expanding classroom sizes and giving teachers real opportunities to teach versus to move stuff back and forth because there's not enough space, these are the kinds of things that I really get excited about and that I really enjoy this part of my job, that we can truly make a difference and an impact in the community. So I applaud you for taking on this assignment and tell your mother thank you.
We will get a kick out of that, Mr. Chairman. Thank you so much. I echo your words as well. Thank you, sir.
Being that there are no questions, I know that there are several who have signed up to speak. I don't believe no one will speak. Are there anyone in opposition? If not, I'm going to close the hearing on this. Members, is there any deliberation? If not, what is your pleasure?
Mr. Chairman, I move that we adopt the findings of staff and approve preliminary plan 4-25007, TCP 1-009-2025, and variance to section 25-121C3, subject to the conditions as outlined in staff's report, and is further modified by applicant exhibit number 1, and is further modified by the new staff and is read into the record.
Second.
Been properly moved in second. I will now call the roll. Vice Chair Bailey. Commissioner
I
Washington.
vote aye.
Commissioner Geraldo.
I vote aye.
And I unanimously vote aye as well. This concludes all items for today's agenda. I want to thank the staff and everyone for coming out. Ms. Connor, is there anything further business to come before the planning board today?
No further business, Mr. Chair.
With that, this meeting is now adjourned.
Yeah.